Carla Knits podcast. I'm so glad that you are joining me today for some knitting and some crafty chat. This is primarily a knitting podcast, but sometimes crocheting, but it's always about all of the yarny goodness that I love. Today is Monday, June 12th. I'm coming to you from Nebraska. I wouldn't normally be recording today. This is a little earlier than my podcast schedule, but I realized I wanted to get a podcast out since I am heading out on a little vacation starting later this week, and so I thought it would be fun, in addition to showing some finished objects and my works in progress, to kind of plan what I'm going to take on my vacation. So let's talk about a few things first before we get into all of the knitting. Places you can find me. I am cbcraftygirl on Instagram and Ravelry, and we do have a Carla Knits group on Ravelry where we currently have 2 make-alongs going on. One is a Love Your Stash make-along. So the idea is to use up the beautiful yarns that we have in our stash. So it goes the entirety of this year. And the other make-along is a year-long blanket make-along. So you can either be working on blankets that maybe you've had in progress for a number of years, or maybe you just start one this year and want to participate. Links to those places where you can join in will be found down below, as well as all of the other projects I talk about. Today I won't be featuring any finished objects from those threads just because it hasn't been enough time since my last podcast. So look forward to the next podcast where I will feature some of you makers that are participating in those groups. So we'll just get into our podcast here. What I am wearing today. This is the Derecho sweater. It's a sweater by Alison Green. I did knit this last year. It is made with Berroco Remix Light, and the color is number 6977 in the pool colorway. It's a little cooler here in Nebraska for June. Yesterday and today, I think right now it's in the high 60s, and we're only supposed to get into the low 70s today. So when I put this on this morning, I was like, this is really nice. I did wear it a couple times last summer. I like the way it feels. It's really nice for a summer sweater. So I do remember getting a little bogged down with the knitting of it, because I did do kind of a long, maybe not, it's not a cropped sweater. I'll stand up so hopefully you can see. But the thing I don't care for, it does have a rounded hem, but that hem keeps flipping up on me. So I guess I would say it's not the most polished looking sweater. So while I think it's fine to wear, you know, kind of more casually, I guess I would have liked it maybe for a dressier sweater that I could wear to church. And maybe I just need to reblock it a little bit. Maybe just, you know, set it down and spray that edge and kind of pin that down, and maybe that would help it. But if you've knit this sweater, let me know what you think about the hem, and do you have that same issue with the hem turning up on you? I'm just curious. But when I put it on today, I'm like, oh, I really like how this feels. So kind of fun to be wearing a piece of knitwear, even during the summer. It won't stay this nice for long, but I'm enjoying it while we have temperatures in the 70s right now in Nebraska. So that's what I'm wearing today. I do have a couple of finished objects, some small finished objects since my last podcast. So the first is a finished pair of socks. So I really did work hard on getting that second sock done, because I think when I podcast last, I had not started the sock. I believe that's right. And I said, yep, I'm going to cast it on over the weekend. So that would have been last 2 weekends ago. And so I did knit this second sock up fairly quickly. But the yarn I used is by Lolodidit in the Hippo for Mani Petty colorway, which was a sock set. She has socks colorways based on hippos, kind of stemming from I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas, but then hippos for other holidays. And this one was Hippo for Mani Petty. So just kind of fun and cute name for the yarn, but I really like how these turned out. I love the color of the speckles in there and that pretty pink for the cuff. So with these, I knit the cuff. So this is just a plain vanilla sock, which means it doesn't have any texture. It just follows kind of a basic recipe, I guess. So for the cuff, I did 15 rounds. Normally I do 16, or no. So I did 15 rounds. Normally I do 20 rounds, but I wanted to make sure I had enough color, or enough 20 grams for both cuff and toes, which I had plenty. So I probably could have gone the longer cuff on both, but that's okay. 15 rounds is still fine of a K2 Purl 2 ribbing. Then I knit down the sock, the leg of the sock, till it was 6 inches. That's typically what I do. It's usually 6 to 7 inches. Then I did the traditional heel flap and gusset, and then worked down the foot of the sock, and then added the toe. And I think I use, if I remember correctly, it is the toe from the Crazy Sock Ladies pattern. It's either her toe or Mina Phillip her toe. So I've kind of had that toe decrease memorized for many years, so it's the same toe that I generally do. But really excited to have this pair of socks. Definitely enjoyed working on these, and yeah, it was just kind of a great project on the go. You know, sitting for appointments, sitting in the car, couple rounds here and there at home, so it worked up pretty quickly. So those are my finished socks. The other finished object that I have today, I have not shown you. My friend Joanne and I, we did this last summer and we're doing it again. Well, Joanne is teaching and she asked me to help, but she is working with some 4-H girls and teaching them knitting. And so it's the same girls who were there last summer, and we worked on a dishcloth. So this summer we are working on a headband. So now we are expanding their knitting into knitting in the round rather than flat knitting. So the headband we are knitting, and I just finished. This is the Seafield headband. This is by JST Designs. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. She does have some paid for patterns, also using this kind of stitch motif. It's kind of a wheat motif. But here it is. The yarn I used was Brown Sheep Lamb's Pride Superwash. It's a worsted weight in the Red Baron colorway, and it's number SW81. And I'll put this on. This is going to kind of kill my hair a little bit, but that's okay. So, yeah, it kind of gets in the way of my glasses a little bit. Maybe that's okay. There we go. So there is my finished headband. I know when I was, we did a little bit of a gauge swatch, but of course that gauge swatch, so we were teaching them about swatching and gauge swatching, but the one thing I didn't consider was blocking, and with superwash it grows a little bit. So I measured my head, went off my gauge swatch with how many I should cast on. But had I taken into account for superwash yarn, I would have gone down one more size. So I think I knit the second size from the largest, but now I think I would go down one more size, maybe even two, but it's not bad. And I think this definitely would be nice in the winter with this really woolly, it feels like a really woolly wool. So I think it will be nice on the ears. So just a fun, quick project. Hopefully you can see that. I really like the texture of that. So great gift knit. So if you have people that, you know, young girls, or not so young girls on your Christmas list that you'd like to knit for, this would be a great quick project. So I'm going to take that off, double check my hair that it's not going too crazy. So those are my two finished objects for today. We're going to get into some works in progress. So this first one, let's see, where did I put it? Okay, this first one has had the least amount of attention just because I was really concentrating. I wanted to get the sock done. So it was, do I want to work on this hat or do I really want to get the sock done? So I decided I really wanted the sock done. But this work in progress I did share last week. This is the Jack Frost hat by the Kitchen Sink Shop. I'm going to try to hold that without losing stitches. And I'm sure now you probably can see that tree as it's grown a little bit. So last time we spoke, I don't have a marker notating the progress, but I don't think I was through one repeat of the chart. And now I am through 2 repeats of the chart and into the next and final part of the chart. So the yarn that I am using is Berroco Ultra Alpaca, number 6273 in the Irwin green colorway. So it's a really pretty green. It has some underlying yellowish green tones underneath it. There are definitely some big hairs coming off from the alpaca. You know, when I stretch this, it's already pretty loose, and I know alpaca tends to grow. So in my mind, that's not going to be a real functional hat to gift to anybody, because if they washed it, then it's probably going to stretch out. So for blocking it, I'm probably just going to lightly steam it a little bit to help open up the lace a little bit more, and I might just keep that one for myself. Yeah, still to be decided, but I really am loving the tree motif in lace on that hat. So that one should be a pretty quick hat to finish up, I am thinking. The next work in progress is my Kaiser Tea. I'm not sharing any of my bags yet, but what I'm working on, my project bags, but this is a bag by Awesome Granny. I think this bag is so fun to use in the summertime when those fireflies are out. So the children catching fireflies. I just think that is a delightful summer print. But in this bag, I have my Kaiser Tea. This is a pattern by This Bird Knits. This is my second Kaiser Tea. It is really scrunched up on the needles. And again, I did not put a progress keeper in, but I don't think I had started the lace last time. And now I am through the lace, and I'm actually right at the point where I am going to divide for sleeves. So yeah, this next round is where I will put stitches, you know, for the sleeves on waste yarn, and then continue knitting down the body. So I know it doesn't look like a whole lot scrunched up there. Let's see if I can stretch it out a little bit so you can see that pretty pattern in there. So the yarn I am using is by Up North Yarns. She's a dyer in Michigan, and this is the colorway Verdant. I did not alternate skeins yet, but I will be doing helical knitting now that I have, excuse me, now that I will just be continuing down the body. So I looked back, I was curious when I had bought this yarn. So this has been in my stash for quite a while, 4 years. It was 2019 that I purchased this yarn. So I'm pretty excited that I am using it now. Really excited with how it's working up. I think it's really fun in this project bag. I like how this goes with the grassy color on the bottom. Do you guys like your projects to match your project bags? I don't always have matching project bags to my yarn, but in this case, this was pretty fun. So I am definitely loving this knit. Again, the lace was really fun to work through, not hard at all. I used stitch markers between each lace repeat, so that was, that made it just very simple. And now just working through the body, and the sleeves, will be put on hold, but it's a very short sleeve after I'm done with the body. So I have debated about doing the sleeves first, which, if I knit a little bit of the body and then do the sleeves, I could always do that, but I'm thinking I probably will do the body first. I don't know. We'll see, but really excited with the progress on that. So a lot of work went into that Kaiser Tea this week. And then also, my Carla's Garden shawl. This is in a bag by Ginger Root Bags on Etsy. So this is probably one of my very favorite sweater size bags, but it works good for a 3-skein shawl as well. And here, and I am in the middle of a row. I don't usually do this, you guys. Oh my goodness. That is super frustrating. I'm sorry. So when you saw this last, I had just gotten through this first section up through the first border of flowers. So I have worked through 2 more repeats of the pattern. And I really love how it's growing. And I hope you can see those flower stitches. They are so pretty. Yep, really fun. So I am enjoying this. This one does take some concentration. It's not hard, but it's not a mindless stockinette knit. You have some texture sections, and then you have your flower border section. So it's really nice when you want something to challenge yourself a little bit, or something that you want to think about. So this is my project where I do have to think a little bit. And unfortunately, I just started that next row, but there is my progress. So I'm not in any hurry to finish this. I am just enjoying the process. I do think it's going to take a little while to get this done. Let me talk about the colors that I'm using. This was a 3-skein shawl kit from Skein Cocaine. This is Coastline. This is Seashells. That's speckled pretty. Yeah, and then this is Starfish. So I am not carrying my yarns up the side. I am cutting them and weaving them in as I go. So I will do one whole section, and then I'll weave the ends in before I go on to the next repeat. Yeah, I'm hoping I have enough yarn to do that with the weaving in of ends, but I just was having, I couldn't get myself wrapped around the idea of how to really carry those yarns up the side in a tidy way. So I really do like how this is looking, and I like how my edges are looking. So I'm really excited. So this is Carla's Garden shawl, which when I talked about it last time, it was not released yet, but it is available on Ravelry. So that's Chit Chat Knits, Carla's Garden shawl, and she has a number of wonderful patterns that have already been released that she has coming up. So shawls, hats, socks, yeah, definitely go check out her patterns. Lots and lots of fun. So those are my 3 works in progress. So I currently have no socks on my needles. So that brings me to what am I going to pack to go on vacation. So this week, Jeff and I will be going to Cincinnati. He is going to play the organ for an organ dedication at his parents' church. This is the church where he started playing when he was little. Fun fact, Jeff started playing the organ for church when he was 8 years old. So he is going to be playing this organ dedication service, you know, for that church. So that's pretty cool. So he'll do that. He'll play for the church service. So we'll be in Cincinnati for a few days, and then we will go on up to Michigan to visit my family up there. So we do have plenty of time in the car for knitting. Well, Jeff's not going to knit, but I will knit. I do some of the driving, but he does the majority of the driving. But it's about 11-ish or more hours to Cincinnati. Then up to Michigan, it'll be 5 to 6 hours. And then when we go back from Michigan to Nebraska, it's about 11 to 12 hours. So there is a lot of time for some car knitting. And I don't know how much knitting I'll actually do when I get there. I'd love to be able to knit every day. I think it's really good for my mental health. I find that I get kind of crabby, a little crabby, or, you know, not necessarily at people, but I feel crabby inside, or just a little antsy if I don't get to knit. So I'm going to have to find some time every day to do a little knitting. But I thought I would share some of the things that I am thinking about bringing along. I don't know that I will bring all of these along because yeah, realistically, I don't have time for all of these, but let me share. I picked out some yarns, and I picked out some project bags, so I will share these with you, and some patterns too. So for summer sock camp, and I should say this is my first completed pair for summer sock camp. That's the only socks done. That was a work in progress. So now it's time to do some more socks for summer sock camp. How are you guys doing with that? Are you enjoying knitting on all the socks? I'm anxious to get some more socks cast on. Well, this first skein, I know I really would like to cast this on. To me, this just screams beachy, summery, mermaidy vibes. It's called Hang 10, and it is a DK weight yarn by Northwood Fibers. So it's a 75-25 merino wool nylon blend. And I found the DK mermaid tail socks. This is a pattern on Ravelry. It's a paid for pattern. It is by, let's see, Callie Reedy. And I just thought that would be really fun. And I am probably going to put it in this mermaid bag because I thought that would be fun and perfect for some mermaid socks. So I really am thinking about that. The next is another DK weight pair of socks, and, you know, completely different vibe, much more subdued colors, muted colors. This is by Chicken Lady Fiber Arts, and this is called the Friday Night Knitting Club. And so this is based on a book. This is a 3-book series, and I have read this book many times over the course of summertime, and it usually was when we were taking our boys to baseball that I would be, you know, reading and watching baseball, but reading too. And so, you know, when there was a colorway based on the book, you know, one of my favorite knitting books. So Friday Night Knitting Club by Kate Jacobs. I had to get this, and I haven't knit this yet, so I'm kind of anxious to do that. So I thought I could do just a plain vanilla sock with this. I don't know if I said this is a DK weight sock yarn. Again, the same makeup of 75-25. So I could do a plain vanilla sock, or I do have, it is the, let's see, it's a free pattern on Ravelry by the Kitchen Sink Shop. It is a DK weight sock pattern. It is called Sunshine on My Feet, with just a real simple texture, which I think would work because this is a really, you know, it's a heavily variegated yarn. And this is the one thing I'm thinking about with this. It is 2, so I hope those mermaid scales are going to show. But anyway, so this either will be a plain vanilla or the Sunshine on My Feet texture pattern. Yeah, so I got to think about that. You know, I got a little burned out. If you've been watching a while, you know, I got a little burned out knitting my Christmas at Bridgerton socks with all that lace texture. But, you know, reading through these patterns, these seem very simple and memorizable, and like you can read your knitting. So I think those are some fun plans. So not sure exactly which project bag this will go in, but that's another DK weight sock. All right, I have, let's see, I'm thinking about Christmas knitting already. So I have this skein, excuse me, this is Zytron Trekking extra large sock. So it looks like this will be a self patterning yarn. This I am thinking about knitting a pair of socks for Jeff for Christmas. I do make socks for him each year for Christmas and put in his Christmas stocking. So this definitely would be just a plain vanilla sock. So very easy and very mindless to be working on. So, you know, maybe I'll cast on all the socks. I just don't know. That makes me a little nervous, but we'll see. We'll see. So I'm considering that. Color, it's just color number 478. Yeah, I don't have like a colorway name, but again, it's Zytron Trekking extra large sock yarn. So that would be a pair of socks for Jeff. Sticking with Christmas, this is a self-striping yarn that I was thinking about using for my daughter-in-law, Kelsey. She is a Friends fan, and this is a Friends inspired yarn. We were on a break, and I thought this would make a fun pair of socks. So, and this is, you know, a regular fingering weight sock yarn. So I've kind of gone back and forth whether I should knit her a regular pair of socks or a slipper pair of socks. But I think the last socks that I knit for her were like slipper DK socks. So it's probably time for a regular sock pair again. So that is a self-striping yarn by Night Owl Fibers. And if you haven't seen the self-striping yarn tour that I did, that episode will be linked down below, where I went through all of my self-striping yarns. But I realized that I did not go through my commercial yarns. So it's going to be the indie dyed ones. So that is another Christmas gift. The last sock whip I am thinking about, or a sock whip, it's not a whip till it's cast on, is this skein of yarn, which just screams summer to me. It is so fun. Those bright pinks and purples, and then those aquatic blues. Oh, I just love it. Sunshine yellows or sandy yellows. This is by Teeny Button Studio. This is called Cosmo Girl. It was from her Legally Blonde collection. And my daughter Jenna was in the production of Legally Blonde in high school this year. So I definitely wanted to get some sock yarn when I saw this, you know, to kind of commemorate, you know, something special that she was in. She definitely would not wear these colors, but I would. So, so you know, this is again probably a very heavy variegated. That's what I'm seeing here. So, I would just do a plain vanilla sock with this, but this is so bright and summery. And I have this project bag. So this is from when I used to sell bags in my shop last year, and I no longer do, but a cute summery bag. And I thought that kind of went perfect with that. So it's got all these little girls, or not girls, but ladies, you know, swimming, sunbathing in inner tubes, on floaties, and I just thought that would be fun. So yeah, I think that would be fun together. So I do have a couple yarns and project bags that really match, so that's kind of fun. So those are the knitting projects that I'm thinking about bringing along on this trip. Then I thought I would like to do something crochet. So I was thinking, okay, what's a good crochet project that I could do? And so I thought about maybe some more crochet dishcloths. I've made that diagonal dishcloth a few times this year. I shared that, and I've made that pattern quite a bit. So I wanted to try something new. So I came across two patterns. Let me see if I have them here. They were here, but let's see. The first one is called the Arcadia dishcloth, and both of these are from Ravelry. Either one or both you can get free on the blog or the website. I just decided to support, and I don't always, but I decided to support the designers for these. So I bought the patterns because sometimes it is really, really tricky wading through all of the ads and pop-ups on those patterns. So the first is the Arcadia dishcloth. And then the second is, where is it? It is called the Farmhouse Dish Set. So it comes with a towel, a hanging towel, and a dishcloth. So right now I'm just thinking about the dishcloth. And I do have some leftover dishy. My friend Candy, who shares a birthday with me, sent this to me in a package last year. So this was my first experience using dishy, and I really enjoyed it. So I have a partial skein left. This is worsted weight 100% cotton in the blush colorway. So I do have some of that left. And then because I liked working with this so much, I did go ahead and order some more. So I have these. This is the silver colorway, and this is the dewdrop colorway. And while I like the pink for myself, I was thinking more along the lines of these for dishcloths for my sister. So I probably will try one pattern or maybe both patterns to see which I like. But I crocheted the diagonal dishcloth for my sister Laura and gifted her several for her birthday, and she really liked those dishcloths. So then I thought, well, maybe for Christmas time it would be fun to have some new dishcloths. And her palette is much more subtle than mine. So I thought these would be good for my sister Laura. So, and for that, I am thinking about using this project bag. Again, this is another one that I made, a really fun summery one with all kinds of summer objects on there. I thought that was good to fit, you know, I could definitely fit skeins of yarn in there, several skeins of yarn, dishcloths, the hooks, and the patterns. So thinking about that as well. So, you know, there are definitely many more projects here than I could possibly finish in a week, but it might be fun to have those options along just to see what strikes me. So My plans today are definitely to start winding some yarn up and putting them with needles in project bags. Really planning for my knitting is one of the most important things when I am going away, for whether it be a couple days or a week, whatever. I like to have my knitting with me and organized and know what I'm going to be working on. So I still might bring my Kaiser Tea along because it's going to be mindless stockinette in the round, which I think that would be fine. I probably won't bring the Carla's Garden shawl along, simply because that one takes a little bit more concentration. I probably could do that in the car, but I think I just want a smaller project in the car. The Kaiser Tea might be fine for, you know, indoors when we're visiting and everything. So those are kind of my tentative plans right now. So with that, I guess this brings us to the end of this podcast. So if you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing and give this a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. I love interacting with you guys in the comments. So let me know, if you'd like, what you are working on. Do you have summer vacation plans, and how do you plan your projects when you are going away somewhere? Yeah, I would love to hear all of that. So until the next time, it's going to be a few weeks. Until the next time, I hope you all are well and happy. And I hope that you are finding time in your summery days to knit and crochet or do any of the things that you love to do. So take care, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.